We are here to discuss favorite teams. Now this is a video that I wasn't really going to do. I've done it twice before. Wrote down the dates. March 18th, 2018 I did this. And I did another one for February 9th. That was a two-part video, so I did it on the 9th and the 10th of February in 2019. Now, yeah, like I said, I was not going to do this, but I feel like I should. I was trying to come across as I like every team, which I do to a certain extent. I wouldn't say I hate any teams. There's at least something that I like about one team. Whether it's the jersey, whether it's just one player I like, maybe I like a coach, the goal horn song, the atmosphere in the arena that I like watching on TV, which doesn't really apply right now, but there's at least one quality from each team that I do like. So there's not a single team that I would say that I hate. There's some that I really don't like or don't cheer for. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the team itself. It has kind of the fans around it, the media around it. So I was not going to do this video to try and stay as objective and reasonable, level-headed, unbiased as I could. Then I remembered I really don't give a shit what people think. So we're here and we're gonna do this list. I wrote down how I feel today about the teams. I went back and watched the two previous videos after doing that and wrote down where I had them ranked. There are some that are rather interesting, others not a surprise. So we will go through this and start off with number 31. But we'll do the whole jersey change here for each team. I'll give them a little bit of respect for that. So, number 31. The Boston Bruins. 2018 I had them ranked number 26, and in 2019 I had them rated 21. That one surprised me. I forgot that I had them that high. 26 is kind of around average, but this year I've just not enjoyed watching them, especially coming off the Stanley Cup final, beating the Hurricanes 2 years in a row. I like Halak. By the time his career is done and over with, he might be my favorite goalie of all time, taking over from Johan Hedberg. I love Halak. Pasternak, I got my Pasternak jersey. He is a hell of a player. He's fun to watch. I really like Carlo as well on defense. That's about it. I really like their jerseys, their goal horn, their song, the atmosphere in the arena when watching games in Boston. So I should feel like I do like a lot of quality, so I feel like they should be a little bit higher than they are. I don't really like their ownership group. I don't know, obviously, any of them personally, but from what it seems like, they're not a fantastic ownership group. I really dislike Jack Edwards. I think he's one of the most obnoxious people in hockey. I cannot stand listening to him, and it's unfortunate that his presentation of the Bruins games affects how I feel towards Boston. It's definitely not fair, but it is how I feel. So, for those reasons, I kind of have to put Boston down here at number 31. We'll see where they are next year if I end up doing this list again. But moving on to number 30. Alright, so number 30, the New York Islanders. Now, you guys are probably not going to be surprised at all who number 1 is on this list. And to be honest, that really didn't affect why I have the Islanders this low. 2018, I had them at number 29. Last year, I actually had them at 31st. So they are up one spot from last year. They just really don't have a lot of players that I really like. I love Josh Bailey. Bailey is one of my favorite players. I really like Broussard. I loved him as a Ranger. Unbelievable. And it's kind of drifted around ever since. I love their third jersey. I don't really care for their home and away jerseys. I think they're some of the worst ones in the NHL. I don't like their goal horn. I know it's going to sound like, as a Ranger fan, that I'm just bashing on them, but I just genuinely don't like that. If they had some more players that I liked, switch out their jerseys, that would help immensely. I am excited to see what their new building looks like. Watching Islanders games when they're the home team, whether it's Barclays or Nassau, it doesn't look good on TV in my opinion. But that's just me. Alright, number 29. Sorry, Mika, but not a big fan of the Flyers these days. Don't really like their jerseys. Although I do really like this. Don't have a heck of a lot of players. Ghost, who was the reason that they were kind of climbing up a little bit, he's kind of fallen off quite a bit, I would say, and Flyer fans don't really seem to have the same love for him anymore. I still really like him. I still really hope he kind of bounces back and has a decent little career for himself. I like Lindblom. Even before his whole ordeal, I was a big fan of his. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot else that I really quite like with them. So 2018, I had them at 25. 2019, I had them at 24. So they had moved up a little bit, taken a bit of a step back. I do love their coach. AV, he is probably my favorite coach. As a longtime Rangers fan, he was definitely, I think, my favorite coach that I remember in New York. Torts I really liked as well, but AV was the one that really sticks out to me, so I really hope he does well. And yeah, just get some more players that I can really get behind. Switch out your jerseys, and you got yourself a winning combo right there. Alright, so number 28, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, I was originally going to wear my Stadium Series jersey. I went to go and look for it and grab it. I remembered, I actually have it sent out to get Marner put on the back. So, going with the 2007 Toronto Maple Leafs look that everyone loves. Jokes. But, Toronto. The first time I did this list, they were number 31. And then last year when I did this list, they actually went up to number 27 apparently, which surprised me. So 28 seems pretty reasonable. Not Toronto Maple Leafs' fault, but the Toronto fans, not all Toronto fans, please don't get me wrong, but there's so many Toronto fans that you're going to have a large group of bad people cheering for that team who are just annoying, insufferable people. I know I'm insufferable at times, but the way the media just covers the Leafs, it just gets crammed down your throat up here in Canada at least. And we're not even anywhere near Toronto, living out here in Alberta. So it just gets really tired, really old, really fast. I love Marner. I really like Kapanen. I'm sad to see him go to Pittsburgh. Well, sort of. We'll get there in a bit. Not a big Matthews guy. I don't dislike him. Same with Riley. I really like Anderson, but I don't know how much longer he'll be there. Nylander, I'm kind of on the fence with. Their jerseys are fantastic. I really like their jerseys. I think they're some of the best in the NHL. One of the better original 6 ones as well. But yeah, I just have never really been a big Toronto fan. That could change really at any moment. There's one team on here that has jumped up significantly, and 4 years ago I would have never believed it. So anything's really possible, but at the moment, and pretty much for my whole 29 years of being alive, never been a Leafs fan. So moving on to number 27. Alright, so number 27, the Ottawa Senators. So 2 years ago, we had them at number 22. And then last year in 2019, we had them at number 30. So a bit of a discrepancy there. Now, I really like quite a few of the players on the Senators in the past, so that's probably why they're a little bit higher at number 22. A lot of those players have kind of since moved on, so there's not a whole lot kind of for me cheering-wise to kind of get behind. I do really still like their jerseys. I know the new jerseys are coming out. I think they said Labor Day weekend, so that's coming up like right away here. So we'll see if that actually comes true or not, but I'm going to be really looking forward to those. But like I said, I like this look that they have right now. Goal horn, goal song, pretty good, so not a whole lot to really dislike. The ownership is abysmal there. It seems like it is just doesn't know what it's really doing. It's got their head up their ass, kind of like me most of my life. So we have that in common. All right, so at number 26, we have the Buffalo Sabres. Now, honestly, going into this, I was expecting them to be a little bit higher than what they are. I mean, every chance I get to put this jersey on, that's enough to put a smile on my face. Having said that, though, just continually being disappointed by them. Just, again, ownership, they just seem to really not be able to get a grasp on how to fix the situation in Buffalo. They brought out the new jerseys. That alone is not going to obviously do really anything. Might increase some sales. They are really nice looking jerseys. But yeah, there's just bitter, endless disappointment with the Sabres, and it's getting a little ridiculous at this point. Although I will say, I'm not huge into the whole collecting game-used equipment, game-used sticks and everything. Well, I do have the Michael Backlund stick, which is pretty cool. I really, really want to get the nice pair of Bauer Buffalo Sabres gloves to match this jersey, and maybe like one of those sweet Bauer helmets as well. Man, I just saw a picture of one of the Facebook groups I'm in for like game used equipment. Someone got a pair of those. They got the gloves and the helmet. Whew, those are just so freaking nice. Absolutely unbelievably beautiful. That would be really expensive, and I don't plan on doing it, but if I was able to track down a pair of those white Bauer gloves with this to match this jersey, that would be pretty dope. Before we also move on, I should mention Buffalo, the 2018, they were at number 23. Last year in 2019, they were at number 22. So a bit of a dive to number 26. But number 25, the Winnipeg Jets. I've mentioned this in, I think, both of the other two videos that I did. I was a big Atlanta Thrashers fan, so it was still a little bit bitter, I guess, maybe on my part. I know as a Canadian hockey fan, I should not be a Thrashers kind of person and be more supportive of the Jets. Again, I don't really give a shit about things like that. Having said that, though, I love Mark Scheifele. I absolutely love Mark Scheifele. He seems like one of the coolest hockey people out there. He's a big, huge hockey nerd, apparently. He's not a big swear kind of person. I don't swear too often, although in this video, a couple shit bombs have made it out. But yeah, Scheifele is becoming one of my favorite hockey players ever. Definitely for the Jets. I really like Oilers. I like their jerseys. Their third jersey is one of my favorites in the NHL. I wish that was their home jersey, to be completely honest. I would love to see a white version of that as well. But I'm getting sidetracked. Winnipeg at number 25 have moved up, actually. 2 years ago, in 2018, they were number 27. And last year in 2019, they were 29th. So good on Winnipeg for moving up. You can thank Mark Scheifele for that. All right, number 24. This is the highest I think they've ever been in my entire life. The Edmonton Oilers. Now, this one honestly caught me by surprise. 2 years ago, they were number 30. Last year, they were number 28. So they've definitely moved up. 24, very respectable. I didn't really expect them to be this high. But I'm a big fan of James Neal. McDavid is, you can't not like McDavid, even if you're a Flames fan, even if you're a Canucks fan. He's just so much fun to watch. Draisaitl's fun to watch. I really like Brian Nugent-Hopkins. Ethan Bear, I think, is maybe the biggest reason, and maybe Yamamoto to a certain extent, but I really like Ethan Bear. I think he's one of the better defensive defensemen out there. I think he'll be really good for the Oilers, I hope. And yeah, I like their jerseys. Hate their goal horn. But it's overall, yeah, Edmonton, good job. Keep it up. All right, so at number 23, the Detroit Red Wings. Now, 2 years ago, they were number 24, and last year they were number 26. So, 24 2 years ago, 26 last year, 23 this year, which is kind of surprising that they've been moving up a little bit, as they've been kind of getting rid of a bunch of players that I liked. I mean, Nyquist is gone, Tatar is gone, Mrazek, he's out, Zetterberg, no more, Cronwall, gone. But it sounds really stupid. One of the things that I've really, really enjoyed is I've been watching their YouTube channel about the construction and the building process of Little Caesars Arena. And I know how stupid that sounds, why that would be a reason that I like the team. But it is. I don't know how else to say it or how else to describe it. It's weird. I do really like Hronek. I really think I might end up getting his name and number on this jersey. Not a big Mantha or Larkin kind of guy, but Yeah, it's super stupid, but I really, really want to go to Little Caesars Arena and watch a game there. That arena looks absolutely stunning. And whether you're a player and you get to go and play there, or you're a fan and get to go watch a game there, I can't even imagine how nice it would be. Super stupid reason, I get it. But moving on to number 22. All right, so number 22, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, 2 years ago they were 18, and the previous year, last year, they were 23, so they've moved up a spot. Columbus, I think I've mentioned it in other videos where they're kind of just hanging around this area. I've just always wanted more from Columbus. Now they've gotten players that I like. I love Elvis. I've been a big fan of Elvis since his days in Lugano, watching him in the Spengler Cup. I was cheering for him to come into the NHL and have success, and he did. Alexander Texier. I love my French players. You all know how much I love players from France. Texier, no exception. I don't like his number. I don't know what it is about Columbus, why I can't get behind them and really just cheer for them, even though they've had players that I've really liked. I mean, they had Marian Gaborik, they've had Nash, they've had UC Jokinen, Sergei Fedorov. I mean, they've had players, Ray Whitney, that I've really, really liked, and for some reason, I don't know how to describe it. Columbus, I apologize. You guys should be higher, but you're not. All right, so number 21, the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, 2 years ago, they were at 16. Last year, they were at 20. So they've slowly kind of started to go back down. There was a point in time where they were probably in the top 10, and maybe the top 15. I don't know if they've ever quite cracked the top 10. And there's been times where they've been probably last. They don't really have a lot of the players that I used to really cheer for during those mid-2010 era teams. Like, Host is gone. No more Handzus. Richards, Turco, although Turco wasn't there very long. Hjalmarsson's no longer there. Did I say Sharp? I hope I said Sharp. But I've kind of really started to like Patrick Kane the last couple of years, which was not always the case. I was not a big fan. I'm still not a big Taves kind of guy. Don't get me wrong. I really respect him. I think he's one of the best players ever. I do really like Kirby Dach. I do like Keith. Goaltending, underwhelmed with. But, yeah, Chicago, they really, all it comes down to is they don't have a lot of players that I'm cheering for at the moment. Not a big DeBrincat kind of guy. Kirby Dach is my dude, so... But that's not really enough for me to justify having it any higher. So we'll move on to number 20. All right, so number 20, the Anaheim Ducks. Now, 2 years ago, we had them at number 17. Last year, we had them at number 18. So they're down a couple spots now at number 20, which 11-year-old, 12-year-old me would be really pissed off with myself at the moment. But, again, just not a lot of players that I'm actively cheering for. I do really like Troy Terry. I love Lindholm. He would be the one guy on the team that I would say that I would be really cheering for. Miller in net, I'm still kind of indifferent. Not a big Gibson kind of fan. Never was a big Getzlaff fan. Perry, he's gone. I liked Perry. Niedermeyer, he's obviously been retired for quite a while. Solani, my boy Correa, probably my top 2 or 3 favorite all-time players. I do really like this jersey. Not a big fan of their home and away jerseys at the moment, so kind of underwhelming there. Piled on with the top of the fact that they just really don't have a lot of players that I'm cheering for, so they find themselves at number 20. Alright, so number 19, the Pittsburgh Penguins. The last 2 years were number 8. And for a vast majority of my life, number 1. The Penguins growing up were my team. This is a team that I can't even describe the love that I had for them. My room was Pittsburgh colors, like painted in Pittsburgh colors. Their jerseys are some of my favorite. They've had so many players. I could do just a hour-long video on the players that they've had that I've really liked. But, man, they have just... for me. It really all started when they won the Cup in 2009. Winning the Stanley Cup in 2009 was kind of the beginning of the end for me. Although I was really cheering for them in 2013 when they got Jokinen. But yeah, they don't really have a lot of players that I really overly like. I was never a huge Crosby guy. Again, kind of like Taves. Extremely talented, one of the best players of all time. Absolutely nothing but respect for him. But I've just never really gotten behind cheering for him. I'm a Malkin guy. But yeah, Pittsburgh, I could see them easily being number one again at some point. They just need to load up on a bunch of players that I like, get a new jersey, because I really don't like their jersey that they have right now as well. Man, I just miss watching games in the Mellon Arena, in the Igloo. I had such a fun time watching them in the mid-2000s, even though they were a crap team. And it was just such a great feeling to watch those runs in 2008 and 2009. And it just kind of all fell apart for me from there, which is a shame. But yeah, this is a big drop from number 1 pretty much down to number 19. Now they obviously weren't number 1 the last few years, but yeah, moving on to number 18. All right, number 18, and just to rub a little bit more salt in the wounds for Penguins fans, the Washington Capitals. Something I never thought would happen. But the last 2 years ago, they were number 21, and last year they were number 25. So they've definitely moved up the standings, which is honestly kind of surprising. I hate their third jersey, but they have a bunch of players that I really like. I love Ovi. I love Backstrom. Verana, awesome. I know he's probably gone for now, but they brought in Kovalchuk, who I was a big fan of. So yeah, bunch of players I really like. Lars Eller, geez, can't believe I almost forgot him. And I have a sneaking suspicion they might end up being a little bit higher if the rumors are true that they will be bringing back one of their 90s jerseys. I don't know which one, but I'd be pumped to see this one come back, or the white version of this, or the black Capitol building. If that happens, I will be extremely happy with the Washington Capitals. As much as I love their current home and road jersey, which I know a lot of Capital fans don't, I would be extremely happy with that. And yeah, Capitals, keep it up, because you guys are climbing the list here slowly. Sorry, Penguins fans. All right, so number 17, the Arizona Coyotes. Now, this one, they've dropped 2 spots from 2 years ago and like 7 spots from last year. So they were at 15 2 years ago and 10 last year. Now, truthfully, I don't know why I had them at number 10 last year. I feel like 15 is about right, so 17 is a little bit of a step back, but I can live with it. 10 seems awfully high, though, from last year. Now, maybe that was right around when they brought in Grabner. I love Grabner. I really like Antti Ranta. Ekman Larsson. They have quite a few players. Hjalmarsson that I really quite like. If they make the Kachina their full-time jersey, I think that they would probably go back up the list, maybe even back to number 10. Nothing really bad or good to say about the Coyotes overly. But, again, kind of like Columbus, I've always just been left wanting more out of the Coyotes. So, I feel like 17 is fair until they can kind of prove it to me that they can get a little bit of success over an extended period of time. But until then, I'm at peace with number 17 for the Coyotes. All right, so at number 16, the St. Louis Blues. Now, 2 years ago, we had them at number, 12 2 years ago. And last year, they're in the same spot at number 16. So, the Blues, I've always really liked them. They've always kind of been in this range from, 15 up until about like the top 5 sometimes. They're usually always kind of in that area. I mean, this fluctuates so much. But I've been really enjoying watching the Blues play, and all their jerseys are just so nice. Bunch of players that I really like. Nice to see them win the Stanley Cup, so I don't feel like I necessarily have to have them as high, because it was kind of a bit of a relief for hockey fans, Blues fans, to see them finally get a Stanley Cup. Probably not for Chicago fans, but that's a story for a different time. Yeah, I've just always really liked the St. Louis Blues. I really wanted to play for them when I was a young kid. It's just too bad that I was a terrible hockey player. All right, so at number 15, the San Jose Sharks. Now, this is another fairly big drop. They've been at number 6 for the last 2 times that I've done this, and they've been right up there in the top 3 sometimes at points in my life. And they probably will be again at some points. It's not really through any fault of their own that they're this low, but there's just been a few other teams that have kind of passed them. And I don't really have too much else to say, unfortunately. We'll see where they go. I know it was a shitty year for the Sharks, but I don't think that'll be a long-term thing. Maybe the next 2 or 3 years they might struggle a little bit, but hopefully they're back on top pretty soon. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do for a 30th anniversary jersey this year. I'm really, really hoping that it's kind of one of their original jerseys, and we'll see how that goes. But 15, sorry Sharks fans, but you guys have dropped quite a bit. So, number 14, Minnesota Wild. Now this is a team that I feel like could potentially rise going forward, even higher than they are right now. The last time I did this video, the first time I guess, they were at number 13, so they're down technically 1 spot from that. But they were at number 17 last year when I did this. I remember saying that they didn't really have a player that I really, really love and really could cheer for and or had a favorite since the Marian Gaborik, Marc-Andre Bergeron days that I really liked. That's changed though. Kevin Fiala now plays there, and he is probably my favorite player at the moment. He's kind of reaching that Jokinen territory for myself, where he's very likely, I would say, going to be my next favorite player. So if that happens, they'll even go up higher, and I still desperately need a Wild Adidas jersey. It's the only team that I'm missing an Adidas jersey for, and it haunts me at night. So that will definitely help. They're beautiful jerseys that they have. I love the goal horn. I really want to go to a game in Minnesota, and hopefully that can happen when we're allowed to start traveling to the States again, and fans are allowed in arenas again. But I think we're still a little ways from that, unfortunately. All right, so number 13, the New Jersey Devils. 2 years ago, I had them at number 20, and last year they rose a decent amount, going to number 13. So they're still in the same spot as they were last year, which is pretty good considering they had a terrible year and they really let me down. When I did my season previews last year, I said they were either going to make the playoffs and do really well, or they'll just completely miss them and be terrible. I said, I have no idea how to judge this team. Neither option would have surprised me. They definitely did not make the playoffs, and they definitely sucked. But a reason why they have jumped so high, I love their jerseys. Their Adidas jerseys, I think, are way better than they were during the CCM, Reebok era. I know pretty much all Jersey fans will disagree with that. They got a bunch of players that I really like. They brought in Nikita Gusev, who is my favorite player on the team at the moment. Blake Coleman, even though he's gone, I'll probably still get him on this jersey. I really like Nico Hischier, Pavel Zacha. I like Subban. I know Grabner and John Moore are now gone. But yeah, they've had quite a few players that I really like. I really have started to like Jack Hughes. I almost said Quinn. And yeah, if they kind of keep adding players that I like, they can just kind of keep climbing, because I never would have guessed that 10, 15 years ago that I would be cheering for the Devils. They've always been one of my least favorite teams, and now here they are, and I find myself rooting for them on the odd occasion. So, go Devils. Alright, so number 12, the Nashville Predators. Now, as you all know, and I'm fully aware of it, and I'm the first to admit it, I am a huge bandwagon person. I don't know why. I really don't, actually, think about it. But, for me, the magic is kind of worn off in Nashville. The last 2 years, I've had them ranked at number 7. That's not 7. I had them ranked at number 7. This year I have them at 12. Like I said, the magic is kind of slowly disappearing from Nashville. It will be back. I felt this way in, I think, 2007 when they had like Paul Kariya and Peter Forsberg. I felt this way in 2012 when they brought back Alexander Radulov. They had the Kostitsins. They had Erat. I really liked them. They had that, I would say, the year they went to the final and the year after they went to the final. There was just a lot of hype around Nashville, and they were extremely fun to watch. I didn't really get that vibe this year. I don't know why, but Like, I like them better than I would say the Coyotes, but I found myself cheering for the Coyotes. Don't really know why. But I still really like Nashville. I still hope they have really good success. They have a bunch of players that I still like. I love Yossi. I love Rene. I love Saros. Love Ellis. What's his nuts? Arvidsson. Yarncroc I really like. Ekholm. I mean, they still have a bunch of players that I really, really like and would like to see them succeed. But we'll see. Hopefully they can kind of get that magic back that they had from the last couple playoff runs that they've had. And moving on, though, to number 11. All right, so number 11, the Montreal Canadiens. Now, this is the highest they've been in probably since 2009, 2010. The last two times I did this, I had them ranked at 19 both times. So they've definitely jumped up quite a bit, which is really awesome. That has to do with players like Thomas Tatar being brought in, Max Domi, I've really become a big fan of since he left the Coyotes. Really like Arturi Lehkonen, like Jesperi Kotkaniemi, it's still one of the harder names for me to pronounce, Yoel Aramia, Charlie Lindgren, Shea Weber. There's a bunch of players that I really like. I love their goal horn. I love the song that they have when they score as well. Watching games on Saturday night when Montreal's the home team, it's just such an electric atmosphere. It's hard to, cheer against them. I mean, obviously if you're Boston or a Leafs fan or whatever. But, yeah, it's just as a hockey fan, it is just a fun team to watch and just a special, historic team to watch. So, Montreal, keep it up. You guys are doing really good. Make sure you bring back Kovalchuk. I'm super excited for that. All right, so number 10, the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2 years ago, I had them at number 10. Last year, I had them at number 11, so they're back up one spot. And the Lightning, I've had a love-hate relationship with them throughout the years. I definitely really did not like them when I was a kid. I didn't really start liking them until they got UC Jokinen, and then their run that they had in 2011. That made me a bit of a big Tampa fan. And I've definitely been cheering for them a lot more the last couple of years. Kucherov, Andre Palat, those are some of my favorite players. I really like Stamkos. Hedman, can't go wrong with him. Again, I just really like watching games where they're the home team, although I don't like their home jersey. I do like their road and third jersey, but yeah, really happy they have Blake Coleman, and they're definitely, I think, a favorite to come out of the East to potentially go on to win the Cup this year. Still got a lot of work ahead of them, but I would not be surprised to see that be the outcome. So, moving on though, number 9. Alright, so number 9. Now this one honestly kind of hurts me a little bit because Florida has always been in my top 3 or 4 favorite teams pretty much ever. Like, since I remember watching hockey. 2 years ago I had them at number 3, which is pretty much where they've been almost my whole life. They took a little bit of a dive last year going down to number 4, but that was because I was becoming a huge Vegas fan. And now to see them down at number 9, it's definitely weird to me. But kind of like Buffalo is, I feel like they have a good team. I feel like they have the right pieces. But man, they just cannot get any traction or any long-term success, and it's really, really frustrating. And I hope that changes, but we'll see. So, yeah, this one is definitely kind of unfortunate for me. I love the Panthers. I've always loved the Panthers. I always will love the Panthers. But yeah, Florida, figure your shit out. All right, number 8. This is the highest I think this team's ever been. The Calgary Flames. Now, when I first moved to Calgary in 2003 for the first time, I was like, ew, we're moving to Calgary. The Flames, ugh, gross. Did not like them. Unfortunately, I didn't even get a chance to go to any Flames games the first time that I lived in Calgary from, I'm pretty sure it was 2003 we moved here, to 2007. I didn't get to go to any games. So then when I moved back to Calgary in 2014, I went to a bunch of Flames games. I never wore a Flames jersey. I was always cheering for the other team. But slowly and steadily, they've won me over. Now, they've always kind of had players that I've really liked, whether it was Tanguay, Camilleri, Erie Hoodler, Roman Cervenka, Kari Ramo, Michael Backlund. But now with the addition of Elias Lindholm, I've become a huge Flames fan. I really like Rasmus Anderson. I'm sure I'm missing someone off the top of my head, but Sam Bennett. I really like Sam Bennett. So Calgary has definitely won me over. I still despise their current third jersey, the one that's hanging up back there. Not a fan of that. But, yeah, they're just a really fun team to watch. I love going to games here whenever I can. Not so much anymore, obviously, but I'm excited to eventually go check out the new arena when that opens up. It'll be sad to see the Saddle Dome go. But yeah, man, just a lot of great memories since moving back to Calgary, cheering for, not necessarily even cheering for the Flames, but cheering against them at times, but at the same time cheering against them. It's kind of made me like them a little bit, which sounds really odd to say, but I guess that kind of happens when you watch them more than anyone else. So, Calgary, I like you. I like you. Moving on, though, to number 7, and I think the biggest riser of this list. All right, so number 7, any goodwill that I just built up with Flames fans, right out the window. So 2 years ago, I had the Vancouver Canucks at number 28, and they had just acquired UC Jokinen, and that was 28 was a good stepping stone because for the longest time, they would have been 29, 30th. Then last year I had them at number 15, so they shot up quite a bit, and now here they are at number 7. So Vancouver has definitely won me over. It has to do with quite a bit of factors. A bunch of players that I like, even though Barchi and Goldobin are no longer there, that they kind of won me over as well with Jokinen. Markstrom, I've been a big fan of since Florida. Pedersen is unbelievable. I really like watching him. Roussel, one of my French guys, love him as well. And Bo Horvat this year has just really proven to me what a great player he is. And I love Vancouver, the actual city itself. I would love to live there. I love going there. And yeah, I'm not a big Sedins fan. That was why they were down on my list for the longest time. And I really was not a Bertuzzi kind of fan. So yeah, that was kind of always the reason why they were down very, very low. Very, very low. Like, I was not a fan. I used to work with a Canucks fan, and he was the most intolerable person I've ever worked with. It just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Now that he's no longer in my life, that also definitely helps. Again, not really fair to the actual Vancouver Canucks team themselves. They don't know this douchebag. All right, number 6, the Colorado Avalanche. Now, the Avalanche are one of three teams that I would say that at one point in my life has been my favorite team. 2 years ago, I had them at number 9. Last year, I also had them at number 9. They were up to 6th. There's 2 players in particular that bumped them up this high. It's Pierre-Edouard Bellemare and Jonas Donskoi. Once they signed them, that in itself bumped them up. I was really sad to see Andrighetto leave. Andrighetto would have definitely probably put them up to number 5 if he was still there. I really like Andre Burakovsky, Grubauer, Cale Makar. It's not too often you see a player with the name Cale, so I appreciate that being a Cale. That's really kind of fun. McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen. Not a big Kadri fan, but those other 3 players are really, really good. With the additions of Bellemare and Donskoi, my newfound appreciation for Burakovsky. Yeah, Colorado, I really just hope they have really great success. All right, so number 5, the LA Kings. Now, this one, a bit of a step back. The last 2 years ago, I had them at number 2, and last year I had them at number 3. And for a long time, it was always New York or LA, number kind of 1 and 2. I would kind of always flip-flop back and forth. I love the Kings. I still really love the Kings. Although they just don't have a lot of players anymore that I'm cheering for. I mean, they still have Kopitar, who I really, really, really like. I do like Doughty, but kind of off that Doughty train at the moment. And I really am not a fan of their jerseys. I think if they came out with a new look, that would definitely help them in my books. And definitely acquiring some more players that I really cheer for. But yeah, it's nice to still have LA in the top 5, and I hope they don't drop out any more than this. Alright, so number 4, the Dallas Stars. And welcome back to the top 4, Dallas. The last 2 years, I've had them at number 5 both times, and it's nice to welcome them back to the top 4 club. For the longest time, it was New York, LA, Florida, Dallas. Those were my top 4 for quite a while. That is kind of once Pittsburgh started kind of dropping on this list. So I've definitely been a Stars fan probably since about 99 when they did win the Cup. It's one of the last memories that I have of hockey watching experience with my dad, and it's just always stuck with me. To this day, my sister is still a diehard Stars fan, and it's just an easy team for me to cheer for. They've always had a bunch of players that I've liked, whether it was Jokinen, Hull, Modano, Turco, Zubov, Philip Boucher, to players now like Miro Heiskanen, Guryanov, Hudobin, Sagan, Radulov, I mean, Corey Perry, Joe Pavelski. I could just go on. And yeah, Dallas, I can't really say too much more because I really like you guys, and I'm cheering for you guys in the playoffs. I definitely hope you do well. All right, so number 3, Vegas. Now, when I did this 2 years ago, this would have been the first time that this would have been a 31-team list. They were at number 4, so that was pretty good for a first-year team. They really won me over that first year. The second year, they went up to number 2. And only reason really why they've dropped down to number 3 is Pierre-Edouard Bellemare leaving. I'm a huge Bellemare supporter. So seeing him leave kind of hurt, but I've definitely liked seeing him in the Avalanche jersey. I think it looks good. It's a good fit. But yeah, I think Vegas is the team that I really want to see win the Cup this year. They're just such a great team to watch. I like Leonard. I like Fleury. Not a big Mark Stone fan, to be completely honest, but this really, Marchessault has won me over. Carlson I really like. I've always liked Carlson since Vegas. I'm not going to say before Vegas, but since Vegas, I'm a big Carlson fan. And yeah, I really hope they win. Moving on though, number 2. Alright, so number 2. Now this is the reason that I was going to do this video. I mentioned at the beginning that I was contemplating not doing this list. But thinking about this Hurricanes team, I had to give them their due. And I even honestly fought with myself throughout the whole season, before the COVID stopped, during the playoffs. I'm like, is Carolina my favorite team? Like, there was some serious doubt creeping into my mind. Now, the last 2 years that I've done this, I've had them at number 14. I shouldn't have had them at 14 last year. I should have had them a little bit higher, looking back on it now. But, yeah, Carolina, man, what can I say? 2006, 2009, and 2019. Fantastic years. This year was a lot of fun watching them. I was really disappointed. I bought tickets to go watch a Hurricanes game back in February. Unfortunately, I was just not able to save up enough money for the rest of the trip, so I kind of had to sell the tickets. I actually I think they were playing the Rangers on the 14th of February, which was the game that I bought tickets to. Which I'm kind of happy I ended up not going to that game, because I think Carolina got stomped pretty good. And I wanted to go to Carolina to watch, a winning atmosphere. So, retrospect, not the end of the world. Hopefully I can get back to North Carolina to watch a game at some point. But yeah, like I said, I really struggled with not making them number 1, I think, at this year. This was the first time in a long time where that doubt has kind of crept into my mind. Having said that, though, it could happen. It very well could happen. If this jersey didn't say Canes and said Carolina or Hurricanes, as opposed to this stupid nickname, shortened slang name that they have on the jersey, maybe that itself would be enough to put them at number 1. But they have a bunch of players that I like that I'm not even going to bother listing off, because just look at the roster. That's pretty much who I like. But moving on to a anticlimactic reveal of number 1. Alright, and number 1. Same team since 2010. The New York Rangers. But like I mentioned with Carolina, this is the first time where that doubt kind of crept into my mind. And man, I had so much fun watching Carolina and New York in the play-in round, even though it was a short series and it did not go well for New York at all. I love when I get to watch two teams that I really like play each other in the playoffs. It means whoever ends up winning, I'm not going to be disappointed. But yeah, New York, I think the biggest reason why there was a little bit of doubt for me on the Rangers end is they just don't have a lot of players that I actually really, really like. The players that they do have and that I do like, I like a lot. That is enough to keep them here at number one. I mean, Lundqvist in itself is enough probably for me to keep this at number one. I really like Panarin. Fox has won me over. Strome is even having a good time in New York. I mean, they do have a lot of players that I really do like. And watching games in MSG is probably my favorite experience of TV watching as far as hockey goes that I can ask for. And I don't see them losing this number one spot anytime soon. Man, yeah, it's been 10 years now that I've been a Rangers fan. But yet, people that kind of know me from before I was a Rangers fan still think of me as that Pittsburgh fan, which is kind of weird to think now that I think I've been cheering for the Rangers longer than I have Pittsburgh, which is really, really weird to think about, actually. No, I haven't. I cheered for Pittsburgh longer. Never mind. Wait, my math is way off. Sorry. But that pretty much wraps up this video, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know in the comments which are your favorite teams, which ones you guys hate. Put a list down there for me to read. I always like seeing that, even though I might not always respond to them. I definitely read them all. And yeah, thanks guys. Really appreciate it. If you guys want, you can check me on Instagram as well. I'll leave a link to that in the description as always. And if not, it's completely alright, but I will see you guys again soon. Take care. Bye.